Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second division of the Cobalt Wins League, Season 5, Week 6, as we quickly close in on the playoffs. And our teams that are playing this set tonight are some of the highest ranked that we have here in the second division, and will surely be taking a look at that playoff picture. It's going to be Sacred Phoenix versus Surely. My name is Crewman. I'm joined tonight by Zathos. Zathos, you ready for this one?
Oh man, you missed it. You said surely just before, and then you did get the joke. It was perfect. It was right on the tip of the tongue. But no, I am absolutely excited to be here. Surely versus Sacred Phoenix, like you said before. Surely is 7-1 in this division of the second league, and then we have Sacred Phoenix, who is 6-2. So this is a big battle for first place, because we only have this series and one more for these teams to really secure their spot at the top of the standard. So whoever wins this has a good likelihood of being first place in really in this whole division.
Yeah, every game matters so much at this point in the season. You need every single win that you can get, and these teams certainly will be vying for those. So, as you mentioned, surely one game ahead right now. And that seeding at the end of the regular season does matter quite a bit in terms of who you're going to face off against first in that playoff bracket. So definitely do not expect these teams to be leaving anything off the rift tonight. They're going to be going all out for sure.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, if any of these teams go 0-2, there is a slight chance that they could go to the lower brackets, because only the top four teams get themselves into higher brackets, and the bottom 5th and 6th team are on 4 points and 1 point. So if they mess up a little bit too much today and maybe next week as well, it could really be a bad start.
Absolutely. They want to avoid that at any cost. We are going to go ahead and get into our first champion select, guys. It's going to be, I believe, Surely on the blue side, Sacred Phoenix over here on the red. See what these teams are going to be prioritizing in terms of pick and ban. Are there any champions in particular that you're going to be keeping an eye out for, Zathos?
You talk about champions, I talk about players. Surely, do you know where the most scary lane is? It is that top lane. Surely Phobes is their main carry. Going in the last series, 12-4-4 on his other champion going 7-2-6. So the main champions to worry about are top laners like the Jax, like the Gangplank. There's already been banned away for Surely. While on the opposite side of Sacred Phoenix, I'm expecting a lot of these wombo combo champions coming together, because they love to play the stuff like the Zac, like the Yasuo paired with it, even the MF and Nautilus. So it's going to be a completely different look from both of these teams.
Yeah, well, the Zac has been banned away. The Gangplank as well, trying to deny one of those carry options from Phobos. Finishing up this first phase of bans, Surely is likely to go ahead and remove the Azaya and the Akali as well. Then we have the Talia banned away, waiting for this last ban to come through now from the Phoenix.
Well, for the Phoenix, there's so many different champions, but I would really ban away the Jax because of, like I said before, how powerful Surely Phobes is. Instead, going for the Sejuani, which has been such a power pick, because it can get flexed to the top lane if they want to, and it's so tanky. It could just one-shot an AD carry if it really chooses, but this does still leave a lot of junglers open. We've seen the stuff like the J4 going up in high priority, even the Gragas as well. And if you don't want to go for the jungler, you can always go for AD carries. Aphelios not seen as much, so we will have the J4 coming out first.
Yes, indeed. J4 going to be that first lock-in. It's a pretty evergreen pick, the J4, and he is in a pretty good spot these days, I think. You know, received some buffs not terribly long ago. So definitely like the Jarvan pick. The Nocturne is certainly an interesting response. Very much on the other side of the jungle pick spectrum. You know, Jarvan all about the early game. Nocturne really much more about the mid and late game, trying to pick people off that are isolated and control the map in that way. Looks like we're going to have the bottom lanes considered now as well. Zathos, Sivir going to get locked in over there for the Phoenix, and then a couple of... Steve will go for a couple of interesting hovers here.
Yeah, no, if they were picking Twitch there, I really would not recommend it. Mostly because Nocturne, when he's able to get on top of you as a Twitch, there's just nothing you can do. So instead, goes for something just a little bit more aggressive, picking this Draven, which we know Surely Clyde absolutely loves playing. So I'm expecting Surely to be focusing around the spot side this game, trying to get this Draven early ahead. While on the other side, Sacred Phoenix, it's all about getting these picks when you hit level 6. When level 6 happen, it is go go, and go. So I'm expecting other champions to help with the follow-up. Maybe even a Vex coming out from them, maybe even a Nautilus as well, which I know they absolutely love, and especially into a Lulu would not be bad. Another interesting pick could be the Braum. It is quite a good pick, especially when you add it with the Nocturne, because when Nocturne goes in, Braum's allowed to instantly follow, get his passive on top of them. The auto attacks with Nocturne gets you the instant stun up, but instead they do decide to go for a little bit more speed up and make sure this Nocturne can survive a bit more damage.
Yeah, the Karma Sivir should give them a lot of lane priority, trying to, seems to me like they're trying to kind of match the aggression that can come out from the Draven lane. If Draven is pushed under his turret the whole time, then maybe he doesn't have as many opportunities to look for all-ins and look for those cash-ins, but he also has a Jarvan on his team. So if the Sivir and the Karma are pushing up in the lane, that could definitely expose them to some ganks as well.
Yeah, the benefit of Sivir Karma is they are really safe because of how much range they have, but the only danger is with their lane. They always want to push in, they always want to have priority, and I just feel that they may push up a little bit too far, as they actually have, well, the
takeaway.
Yeah, takeaway from the Jax. We know how good surely Phobes is with the Jax pick, so it's going to be interesting to see what he is going to do to counter it, because there are a few different opportunities to this. Usually you don't mind playing another bruiser into it, but with Surely's Champion, I cannot even imagine what he's going to pick into it.
Annie has snuck through the draft, but not going to be the option for Remnant, going with the Victor instead, the Master of Machines. Does seem like a pretty... oh, go ahead.
No, Victor's just mostly a really good late game assurance, because of if you get through this early game, you don't get the Draven ahead, you can always still rely on getting that J4 ultimate, locking them up, and then having the Victor ultimate just coming crashing and burning down on you. And if Sivir's stuck in there, hey, let's say goodbye to that champion in those big late game team fights, as we still have a bit of a decision on the top lane, deciding to go for a little bit more of a defensive pick, understanding that maybe you can't fight the Jax in lane, so you're just going to try and be tanky enough to allow your Victor and your Draven to really be taking over the game in the late game.
Yeah, certainly a risky proposition to contest the Jax early, because, you know, if he does get ahead, then that can be pretty doomed in that kind of scenario. But the Cho'Gath option does concern me a little bit, Zathos, just for the reason that I don't think it's going to be able to really match up with the Jax at all in the side lane later on in the game. So if we do get to a point where the Jax is trying to split push as a win condition, Cho'Gath is going to have a pretty difficult time actually trying to take care of that and make that as little of a problem as it can be.
Yeah, I think the main reason they picked it is just to have a big, beefy front line for when they want to have these big team fights, especially when you get the Cataclysm down, you have the Rupture to pull them right back up, and with the Victor, it is very powerful. And especially when it's a champion that can get flexed into so many different lanes if they want to, so it's not a bad pick at all. But yeah, Jax is going to be scared if he gets ahead.
Just some technical difficulties here, guys, so we're going to have to run through the draft one more time. Sorry about the delay. Thank you for bearing with us. But yes, definitely some interesting compositions. It feels like there's a lot of scaling, honestly, on the side of Surely with what they've been able to put together. You know, the Jarvan can be used sort of as a bridge through the early game, and then you have, you know, these really strong scaling solo laners, and, you know, Draven, not necessarily known for his scaling, but if he does manage to get that cash in early on, he can obviously get to a point in the game where he's so far ahead that he might as well be a scaling champion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. But one thing to do with Sacred's team comp is I just prefer it over Surely's, because Surely's is a little bit of early game, a little bit of late game, and it's seeming like they haven't really decided on what they want. While on the opposite side, Sacred has really decided on this level 6 go. Otherwise, we just get to this late game, because if Surely messes up and doesn't get a lead on this Draven, you're fully against the Sivir, Nocturne. You also are against just so many other late game threats like the Jax, who is just going to push these lanes out. And then when you're going to have your top laner coming down for these fights, your whole entire base is going to get absolutely ruined. It's going to be a tricky one for Surely to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, you know, we were already talking a little bit about the Jax side laning potential, but when you have a Nocturne in your back pocket to supplement that side laning even further, can definitely be really, really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of pick potential they can do. Usually not the best champion to go on is the Cho'Gath. So if we do see the Victor being a little bit out of position, there's an easy way to pounce on it. And I'm seeing that the draft has slightly changed. We've got the Lysandra in instead of the Rise, and that is perfect. The main reason is it's able to lock up one of the enemy champions, like the Victor, like the Draven, who has actually optimized into the cleanse, which I absolutely love for this game. But still, if they want one champion dead, I don't even think a cleanse is really going to save him. This Lulu has to bring out some big heals and shields to keep her carries alive.
Would you like to see maybe an early Mikhails from the Mega Chat on the Lulu? Try and keep cleanse some more of those CCs, perhaps?
Well, if their name's Mega Chad, I'm expecting just pure damage coming out of them. But jokes aside, Mikhail's maybe second item wouldn't even be that bad of a choice because it stops a lot of the engaged tools that are coming out from Sacred Phoenix. And it's going to be interesting to see as well, how's J4 going to do this? Is he going to be using the flag and drag to get into the backline using Cataclysm on Sivir to make sure that she isn't able to? Or does he want to play a little bit more defensively, wait for Nocturne to come in, use Cataclysm on him, and just play front to back with his team? And that's the reason J4 has been so powerful in the meta recently, because he can do both compared to Vi, which is really one sort of style, which is go in, and if we don't go in, my champion isn't as useful a kite back.
Yeah, absolutely the case. You know, not to say that the Jarvan can't kite back, but certainly not a strength of the champion necessarily. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, one thing I don't like about the side of Surely is mostly because of their top layer. We kept talking about how powerful he is when he is on these big power picks. And they put him on a Cho'Gath. You can still go AP Cho'Gath, get that Everfrosted, maybe get a couple stacks of Medjais on you and kill one champion. But it doesn't have that, I'm going to 1v9 the game like a Renekton has in the early game where he can 2v1. Or even a Jax when he gets to this middle late game could be an absolute monster. So I'm hopefully going to see a Surely that understands how to play without their top laner really holding the reins for them.
Yeah, well, they are the 7-1 team, right? And you know, it's really important going into playoffs that they can maybe be a little bit less predictable in terms of the lanes that they play around, that they demonstrate that they have multiple threats on the team, that they can play the game in multiple different ways. So, you know, since we are closing in on the regular season and they do have this nice 7-1 record, and they're, you know, extremely unlikely to be falling out of that upper bracket, you know, I don't mind trying a little bit of a different composition. It will be interesting to see how Phobos performs on the tank, on a little bit more of a supportive pick up there in the top side. And of course, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the team plays around that as well. But overall, Zathos, I think you were saying just a little bit earlier on that you actually do prefer the draft of the Sacred Phoenix.
Yeah, no, the reason I enjoy the draft is the execution of it is a little bit more easier because it's just use all our ultimates at once, pick one target to go in on and blow them up. And when you get one of the main carries down for the side of Surely, they only have one main carry left of the Victor or the Draven. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to do so. But if they do not have the damage to be able to one-shot someone, and as Lulu is able to do their job, it's going to be very strong. So this is going to be a very chaotic game on do they have enough damage or not.
All right, we're going to find out in just a minute, guys. Don't go anywhere. Week 6 of the Cobalt Wins League. We'll be right back right after this. All right, my friends, welcome on to Summoner's Rift for our first game of the night. Once again, Shur Lee on the blue side, Sacred Phoenix on the red. See if we're going to get anything early happening. Looks like a pretty calm and collected level 1 Zathos.
Yeah, it's looking like nothing of major impact is going to be happening. Just simple 5 point, allowing these players to get nice, warmed up, stretch out the arms, stretch out the legs, getting themselves ready for a good game. Rift, do it yourself, man. Let's get right into this. Oh, that feels good. But no, in this early game, we should be seeing Big Boy Stevo focusing around this bot side because of the Draven. If Draven's able to get those adoration stacks turned into gold, is going to be a very favourable side to surely. While on the opposite side, we're expecting them to try and stay a little bit safe, get themselves to that level 6, and that's when the go burn is. And it's all going to be about Nocturne and Lissandra roaming around the map together and see what they can get done.
Yeah, the Draven definitely, well known to be an early game powerhouse. Definitely an early game win condition for the side of Shur Lee. The pairing alongside the Lulu, though, is definitely an interesting one. We talked a little bit about this, and the Lulu will provide a lot of value a little bit later on into the game in those team fights where she's trying to keep these carries safe. But during the lane, I feel like the Lulu doesn't necessarily supplement the strength of the Draven as much as maybe some other options would have. So it'll be interesting to see for sure, I think, how they're able to pilot this, if they're able to win out in the 2v2. That's a nice boomerang coming through from Allegasia.
Yeah, well, I've actually got a few statistics here if you want to see it. It says that a Glide said that supports a Eagle, so can only play Eagle champions. So I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing any Nautilus coming out from Mega Chad anytime soon. As I've seen some other statistics of I need to actually shout something out apparently for Sacred Phoenix. Apparently Griffin wants me to shout out his cat Busson, so if he ever gets a pentakill, I will scream Busson to the moon for him.
Perfect. Definitely hoping for that. Yeah. But we do
But
have both junglers pathing down towards this bottom lane. See if I can be able to make anything early happen down here. It is pushing towards the Sivir Karma for now.
yeah, we're expected priority to be focused
Uh-oh.
mainly around the drain because of just how powerful he is in this lane. As a player, has disconnected. Big boy Steve having a few internet issues as always. This is actually quite bad for him, mostly because of where he got disconnected. He is in a really bad position to pick up his farm because he was halfway through a camp where he left, and he's now super low HP. He does have to smite to get it, but this actually gives a slight advantage over to Grizz on the Nocturne, so he should be able to pick up this Skull Crab even without help.
Steve, oh no, not like this. Yeah,
Steve, oh man, we
Nocturne's
need you.
Nocturne's clear speed actually is quite fast, even in the early levels. So Grizz didn't necessarily need that advantage, but we'll certainly take it. Already up camp, as we can see on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I can't blame him for going a 6 camp clear because when you have the Nocturne, his passive is a circle around him that's a big auto attack. So he's amazing at clearing these well camps that have a lot of minions, like the Raptors, like the Krugs. So then he has really good push
Yeah.
pressure, and he always needs to get to level 6. So he just needs to farm as much as possible, and he will support his team to make sure they don't die. But he's not really there to make the plays in the early game.
Absolutely. Quick note, production, if possible. It'd be nice to reorganize the scoreboard over there for the stream. Make sure everybody is facing off against their appropriate lane opponent. But we are looking like we're going to be getting back into the action very, very shortly now, folks. Just waiting for the pause to subside, and then we will be able to resume.
Yeah, we're untangling the spaghetti coders. We're seeing Jax going for a intense counter-strike in the top lane. Just look at that.
Those
You could
caster
just see it
minions are
going all
done
around
for.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
trust me, they are gone. Take a look. Oh, one down, almost gets the second, but gets stunned right up. But Jack's in a really good position, able to get himself off a really nice cheater recall. He could even come back for Cole if he wants to, because I'm not expecting him to ever really be able to kill this Cho'Gath, as there is just more poke happening in this top lane, as the wave is actually pushing back into Shorely. So it's going to be really difficult for J4 to try and contest this Rift Herald. What's going on?
Yeah. So you can clearly see up there in that top side, Phobos just not contesting with Griffin at all for that wave. Just allowing the Jax to push it in, collecting as much as he can underneath the turret. As Steve-O is going to finish up his 5th camp, but that's in the same amount of time that Nocturne has done 6. So it's going to be Grizz first into the river, looking like they're going to be able to lock down that Scuttle Crab, and it's going to be Steve-O moving into the bot lane for a potential lane gank. Has not been spotted just yet. Oh, he has been spotted. Yeah, I think the minions probably got him as he was moving into that next bush.
He does still have flash. If he wants to make something happen, there is no reason why he can't.
Oh, look at this from Grizz going for the invade. But Allegazio is stepping up pretty far forward here. EQ, yeah, it's spell shielded. Steve-O now put on a leash. We'll be able to back away the stand aside for the slow. Surely Glide getting a lot of damage out into the Karma. Gets the flash out from the support as well as the exhaust. So the gank may have been a bit telegraphed, but still, 2 summoners down for the Sacred Phoenix support. Grizz moving in now. But level 4 Nocturne, as we said earlier, not really able to get a lot done in those ganking situations. So, well played from Shore Lead. Get themselves a small advantage in the bot lane.
This is actually not that bad for Shore Lee, mostly because they used no summoners for getting both off paint. So next time they try and make a play like this, they should be able to pick up a kill from this. Otherwise, Sivir and Karma just need to play so safe. But because of the priority they did get in the bot lane, they will be able to push out this wave and reset and get themselves a little bit more safer.
The double crab coming through for Grizz, though, and Glide is so low now on the Draven as well. Garvin has to stick around just to make sure that Glide can farm up this wave safely. Now Steve-O is forced to commit a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I can't agree with you more. But J4 also loses all of his camps in topside, giving both Skull Crabs over to this Nocturne. Nocturne is just getting a slight CS lead at this point, getting himself a 300 gold lead. And the most important part is he is a level up, and we know how powerful Nocturne is when he gets that level 6. So the faster he gets there, the faster he can help his team.
Yeah. Seems like the side of the Sacred Phoenix is just kind of outpacing their opposition across the board so far. Phobos winning out in this trade, though. Griffin pretty low on mana. Cho'Gath, oh yeah, gets the Rupture as well. Griffin trying to leap strike away. Will be able to do so. But Phobos clearly starting to be a little bit more threatening in the top lane. as Remnant is also very low on mana here in mid.
Yeah, no, in the mid lane, you're not really expecting much to happen. It's a Lissandra versus a Victor. Victor should be getting pushed in until he gets his first item, mostly because Lissandra just wave clear is so much better. And now she has ticked over to level 6 when Nocturne gets it himself. I'm expecting him to be trying to go for a mid lane gank, especially when he's already used his TP, so they're able to kill him. It's going to put Remnant in a really bad position.
Absolutely the case. Nocturne moving back up towards the top side camps now. They are, of course, the first to respawn since Grizz did start on that top side.
Dragon has also been spawned, so any of these teams can go for it if they want. J4 is focused around the bot side, so I'm expecting him to be going for that in a very short time. As Nocturne is still not level 6, I'm not expecting anything to be happening top side. Nocturne can maybe go for side, but we do still have Flash, so it's going to be hard to try to get this kill.
Yeah, and Phobos level 6 now, so level 7 actually for the Cho'Gath. So Phobos is feeling all right, but the Counter-Strike is going to stun him up even after the flash, and now the Fear Tether comes out, and that should be enough. Phobos goes down, first blood picked up by Grizz on the Nocturne. Level 6 not needed. Glide moving forward now with the Axes, getting a great trade against the Sivir. And Surely coming alive here. Oh, it's actually Sacred Phoenix, though, that pick up that first blood. So it's truly doing well in the bottom side. And it is Jarvan onto that first dragon, but a very nice early kill for the Nocturne.
Yeah, it's a split map. We have Nocturne focusing the top side, trying to get anything he can. And he's really been doing well here, stealing away the blue buff and just making it so difficult for Phobos to be playing it. Because before Phobos gets any of the stacks on his feast, he's just so squishy against the enemy players. But one thing I do like is the chainmail coming from him, trying to stop those auto attacks, as he is into 2 main auto attack champions of the Nocturne and Jax.
For sure, yeah. The only real magic damage on the side of Sacred Phoenix is the Lissandra. And she doesn't really offer any extended damage, right? She's really more about lockdown and burst, so she does not want to have to use her spells on a Cho'Gath. So definitely the arm. Oh dear, the Warden's Mail doesn't seem to be helping out too much yet. Griffin flashes over the rupture. Just needs a couple more arrows to devour the feast. It's enough. Phobos turns it around at the last possible second, and he gets Surely on the board.
That is so sad for Sacred Phoenix, because it was such a good play, flashing over the rupture, but just 1-2 missed auto attacks coming out for Jax means that he will be getting taken out. So J4 is still hunting for this bot lane. Look at how much he's losing. They're getting a free Rift Herald on the side of Sacred Phoenix, because this J4, all he wants to do is try and gank this bot lane.
Very true. They did manage to secure the first dragon, though, for the side of Surely, so trading off those early neutrals doesn't feel all that terrible. Steve-O gonna look for it, finds the EQ onto Paint. Does have this flash back, though, so the Summoner spell cooldown was not able to be punished on the Karma, and Paint will survive once again.
No, it's mostly because of going for the inspiration tree. He must have it where his summoning spells come up earlier, because no way it was 5 minutes since the last thing. Because look how fast that's coming back. It's probably about 3.5 minutes, I have to say, for that to come back. So that's the reason the gank was not able to work. And every time that this gank isn't working, this Draven is in risk of losing his stacks.
Okay, top laner's going out once again. Yeah, that's the ultimate popped from the Jax. Phobos gonna find another rupture. Leap strike off cooldown, though. Griffin moving forward, not quite enough to find the kill this time around. And Phobos is about 400 gold away, I believe. Oh, hang on. Now we've got Steve-O back in the bot lane. Gets the Cataclysm onto both. And Paint, no flash this time around. It's going to be Glide picking it up with a really depth of Doctrine over the top with the Paranoia. Gets the Fear Tether, the Cleanse, the flash away. Glide barely alive, just barely limping out of this one. Steve-O now trying to peel away with the EQ. Lulu will fall. And in the top lane, Jax going for the turret dive, and it's not going to work out. Across the map, it's a couple of kills traded back and forth. Steve-O did also end up going down 3 for 3 on the board.
Total mayhem coming out from all those fights. And it's looking like it's going to be a win for the Phoenix team, mostly because of the Sivir. Because if we take a look at this replay again, it was such a great engage. Double Cataclysm, because they know that the support does not have flash, but it's just too little too late as Nocturne comes in, finally has the ultimate, and there's just nobody able to do enough damage against him. Draven has to run for the hills, just leaving a poor Lulu to just die for the sins of her team.
was the Duskbringer from Grizz that was able to pick up that last kill. So number 2 for the Nocturne. During the replay, guys, that entire tier 1 turret in the bot lane was completely destroyed. So that's so much additional gold for Allegasia and for Grizz. The Herald value just massive in this one, as Zephon making a little roam down towards the bot lane now since that tier 1 has been taken out. This is great from Sacred Phoenix, rotating the Sivir into the mid lane now, trying to put some pressure on that next turret.
Yeah, one thing I also want to talk about is take a look at this gold lead for this Nocturne compared to J4, because J4 kept looking for stuff bot lane, but it's just not able to really make it work, because the gold lead down bot lane is completely the same, but in the jungle, there's already a 2.5k gold lead. That's where all of the gold difference is.
Yeah, absolutely. Grizz has pulled very, very far ahead. Oh, some fancy feet from Zephon completely breaks Steve-O's ankles there. And that is the risk of picking the Jarvan, right? We also do have to remember, Zathos, that the Jarvan was very highly prioritized by Surely in the draft. And that is kind of the pressure that you're under when you lock in this champion. You need to make something happen early, where the champion just doesn't really offer that much. When he falls behind, it's just a really, really tough time to try and make an impact.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough time, but Dragon will be spawning in the next minute or so, and I am expecting this to be very difficult from the side of Surely to be playing, mostly because of how quick the go buttons are for Phoenix team, because they're just able to go whenever they want, and they also have ward littered about absolutely anywhere, so Lysindra can have a field day trying to look for anyone.
Yeah, definitely the case. We do have, as you say, the dragon spawning top laners. No ultra. Oh, actually, Phobos does have the feast off cooldown. I think he's going to be able to get it here. Griffin flashing away. He barely lives the feast, but he does still go down to that last auto attack. Phobos able to get his 3rd kill of the game. This Cho'Gath has actually been eating pretty good up there in the top lane, but dragon burning down. The Glacial Tomb onto the Jarvan. Steve-O still makes it into the pit, but it's not enough. Smite is good from Grizz, and now the Whirling Death comes out. The Paranoia from Grizz over the top, gets the fear down onto the Victor, gets that first kill, takes out the mid laner, and now Glide trying to trade back, but it's not going to happen. Zephon flashing in for the double root, does trade himself for it, but the Draven and the Lulu will both also drop. So Sacred Phoenix, the objective in a 4-for-1 team fight in the bot river.
Yeah, no, Steve-O still had the Cataclysm that whole entire time up. Decided not to use it, so there's that little bit of damage that could have been put onto one of the main carries of Sacred Phoenix, but they decided not to. Meaning when they went into the backline, because they used everything, Nocturne was just able to do whatever he wanted, was able to run down Remnant, only leaving a Glide and Mega Chad to do whatever they can. But because Draven did get these early kills, he just wasn't able to get the damage off he needed to win the fight.
Yeah, it just, the setup wasn't there for Surely. With Steve-O trying to go into the pit to get the steal, but I have to wonder if maybe the rest of the team should have been a little bit farther back, if the play was just to try and get the steal instead of going for the fight. It seemed like they kind of put themselves in a tough position. As you said, Grizz was easily able to capitalize on that, getting that fear down onto the mid laner. So pretty massive lead now for Sacred Phoenix in this first game. They're up about 4,000 gold at the 15-minute mark, Zathos, and they have got themselves a dragon as well. They don't have both dragons, but at least they've been able to stop any kind of stacking threat from their opponents.
Yeah, and also on top of this, they are the scaling team. If I was a Sacred Phoenix fan, I'll be in a very happy position, mostly because you've got the main carry of Sivir in this late game, already having 2 kills on her, having 100 CS as well, finishing the first item. They are looking pretty. And the longer top lane is, even though you're 0-3 down, this Jax at some point is going to outscale Phobos.
Yeah, he absolutely will. And we talked about that coming out of the draft as well. The Draven still hurts. Damage. He has ult now as well, so one more auto attack could have gone for it.
Yeah, no, but the spell shield is up for the Sivir, so it wouldn't be able to just kill him just yet. But no, still a good idea. This Draven can deal damage. They just haven't given him the right opportunities because of this J4 being the solo tank, because it's mostly been a 4v4 in this bot lane. J4 just gets absolutely shredded in these fights, especially when he gets the Glacial on top of him and then having a Nocturne just running him down. It just gives no opportunity for Draven to have a front line.
Did just see the side of Surely secure the second Herald. So they were able to get the second Shelly, and I believe Phobos was able to actually feast on that one as well. So Cho'Gath able to pick up a stack with that as well. Feels pretty good, but what matters much more is how they're actually able to use that second Herald, right, Zathos? So we're a couple of minutes out on this third dragon. What would you like to maybe see them use that Herald for some pressure in one of these lanes to try and get the objective? Or would you maybe prefer to see just a complete cross map and give over the dragon and try and make a big play on the opposite side of the map?
I think because of how last team fight went, I think if they have Cho'Gath in here, is able to tank up with the Draven damage, there is a possibility to take this fight. So they have two options. One, they go mid lane around about now, try and find a pick and use Rift Herald to open up the map, get your wards down for next dragon. Or two, you wait till dragon to spawn, you place the Rift Herald then. So now you put Sacred Phoenix in a really bad position where they have to choose. Do we want to defend mid lane and give them over dragon? Or do we want to say, hey, no, we don't care our mid lane tower, you can have it with Rift Herald, but we are going to make sure we take this dragon.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to go for. Still about a minute out on that one. Take a quick look at the item spikes as well. Pretty much everybody does have their first mythic. Cho'Gath and Draven going for legendary items as their first buy. Is Griffin just gonna whack away at this top tier 1 Jax? So the split push begins, right? There's the first turret going down for Griffin.
Yeah, Draven's actually a little bit chunked out here, which isn't the best when dragons spawn in quite not even that far time. It's only going to be up in the next 40 seconds. But he does have the red buff, so he should be okay. But player we haven't really talked about is Remnant, being level 11 now, having himself at 1 item apiece. So he might actually be a little bit of a threat in the next fight if he's able to get a big ult off.
Yeah, we did just see a Grizz completing the second item, Black Cleaver, done now on the Nocturne item. Of course, not traditionally built on Nocturne, but it is very, very strong right now. And he does have some other AD threats on the team that are going to get some value out of that armor shred as Griffin leaps away from the Jarvan Q.
It's looking like they are going to be placing the Rift Herald in the mid lane as expected.
Indeed.
There is also TP on Phobos, so it does not matter at all that he's still in the top lane, as whenever they want to take a go, they can.
Here comes Paranoia. It's going to be straight onto the Draven. Glide flashing away, trying to stay alive. Cataclysm now on a Grizz to try and peel away for the Draven, but it's going to be Stevo who's taken out immediately, and now the lockdown comes through. Glide will not escape. The teleport is utilized from Phobos, but by the time the Cho'Gath gets here, the fight is already over.
Lysandra going in, getting a big frozen tomb onto a glide, meaning the Draven threat is no more. And because Remnant needs to scale so much, and Phobos wasn't even there, it was just a team fight. They couldn't win, so the dragon will be going over towards the side of Sacred Phoenix, as they may be looking for a Cho'Gath, but he is so tanky. It's going to take him so much to try and take this.
The collapse is coming through. There's a lot of CC here. Phobos is going to flash away, and that should be enough to keep the Void Monster alive. They at least, the side of Surely at least, were able to get that tier 1 in mid as compensation, a consolation prize, if you will. But definitely that second dragon going over. It is an Ocean Soul, so, arguably not the most impactful of souls, but definitely Griffin would feel really great about securing that Ocean Soul. Would give a lot of value to Jax in the side lane. And Jax, later on is going to be very comfortable in those extended fights as well.
Well, it is only the second Drake as well, so it isn't too important to sell. But it's still really scary for the side of Surely because they are the worst scaling comp. So if they don't start turning something around now and finding these picks, it's going to just get worse and worse and worse. Because there's an opportunity in that mid lane there where they were able to go onto Griffin, push his flash out. Even though he would be able to get out, you're able to chunk him out enough with no TP where you could turn it into a 4v5.
Yeah, it really felt like in that that scrap before the dragon, it really felt like Sacred Phoenix were just kind of reading their opponents like a book. They saw the grouping up in mid lane. They were like, okay, they're going to drop Herald. We can look for a punish here. Cho'Gath isn't here yet. And they just pulled the trigger very quickly, and Surely were not able to react in time. So gold lead hasn't really extended. Still at around the 4K mark. And, like you said, the composition for Sacred Phoenix is pretty hard scaling, so they're fine letting the game extend a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, they may be fine with it, but I wouldn't be upset with trying to find engages now, especially when you have stuff like the Paranoia. You have the Frozen Tomb to just lock up one of these players. If you ever see this Lulu or Draven on their own, you can go hunting, as they might be hunting for the enemy jungler.
Yeah, they're going to spot him out on the blue buff. And Stevo will be pushed out. He does have Phobos rotating down. So possibly a contest, but Grizz should be able to lock this down. And there
Yeah.
is the blue buff stolen away.
It looked like Phobos and a Glide just had to push out their wave, so wasn't able to help it. So we do have Sacred Phoenix stealing away the blue buff. Not that big of a win, but you'll take anything you can. And this isn't even the most important part. They're able to push their ward line further, making it where it's so much harder for Phobos or any of the players on the side of Surely to be playing. Because if now they misstep and go into those wards just slightly too far, you're going to easily get pounced on by that Paranoia.
Yeah, it's so easy for Grizz to collapse at this point, especially with these tier 1 turrets in the side lanes going down. Like, Remnant really cannot push up at all past that tier 2 without exposing himself to so much danger from the Nocturne. So definitely options starting to get removed from Surely's playbook.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Surely to take this, but I'm really expecting if they're able to get shut down onto Draven. If we quickly take a look at his adoration stacks, I believe he has 117, which isn't really that much. Only getting a little bit more gold on each kill, and that isn't what you want. You wanted to get this Draven ahead, as he has finally finished his IE.
Yeah, that is a big spike. So while he won't be getting as much gold for his next kill, he still has managed to acquire enough gold over the course of the game to find himself at this very, very powerful 2-item spike. So we'll see if Glide is going to be able to start turning the tables. We have our 4th dragon, our 2nd ocean, coming up relatively soon now, Zathos. Do you think it would be a good idea for Surely to contest this one?
Well, it's really up to them if they want to contest it, because Draven has finally hit a power spike, but it's going to be so scary, especially when the vision is all in the favor of the Phoenix team, mostly because if they ever go slightly too far, like I keep saying, this Phoenix team is just going to absolutely pounce on you. So they need to
such strong collapse, yeah.
They need to walk together. Phobos needs to go in first. I understand he has the TP where he could be on the side lane, but if anyone else they engage on that isn't Phobos, I don't see them surviving.
And that's the thing about Nocturne, too, is if the Paranoia is actually cast before the teleport, then Phobos no longer has that option, as Shrelia's popped. Mega Chad maybe wanted to look for something there, but the side of Sacred Phoenix, they back away. Their vision control is pretty strong right now in the bot side river, but surely are going to be able to move in to contest. Teleport coming down now from Remnant to join up with the rest of the team. Griffin off in the sideline right now. Jax also having that teleport available. I wonder if the Sacred Phoenix are willing to just give this up to give Jax some quality time with that tier 2 in the top side.
TP was spotted, thank God. Because there was a chance that Jax was able to come in the backside, find a massive counter-strike onto the enemy team, as the poke is finally coming for Victor. Exactly what we want to see from him. And it's going to be really hard for now the side of Griffin to engage, mostly because if you're going straight into a Cho'Gath, he will able to rupture you up.
There's some really nice item spikes here for Surely. They are going to move in. They have the Cho'Gath ult to lock down the objective as well. So with Jax not here, seems like Sacred Phoenix aren't really going to be able to do much in this standoff. The Rupture comes in. It's going to be Zephon going in. Jax is going to TP in. Now Grizz, Paranoia over the top, looking for Glide. This Draven, but there's nobody diving with the Nocturne. These health bars now are so low. Stevo takes the first kill. He goes in with the Cataclysm to get another. Stevo in the backline looking for more. He will eventually go down. And it is the Jax on the other side of things. Griffin trying to clean things up, and it looked so good for Surely for a second there. It seemed like the side of Sacred Phoenix were maybe a little bit disjointed at the onset of that fight, but in the end, the gold lead was just a little bit too much, and Sacred Phoenix slap them down with the wallets.
Yeah, and this is going to be so much harder from the side of Surely. They needed to win that fight because now they're in such a bad position, as Soul Point will be going over to the side of the Phoenix team. This Jax also is getting gold in his pocket. He was 0-3. Now he's able to get himself up to 3-3, and we can see exactly where the fight went wrong. It was looking so bad from the side of the Phoenix team when we had the big Nocturne ultimate coming in, but then afterwards the team just had too much gold, slapped him with their wallets, and Jax just pounces on getting himself one of the kills at the end.
Yeah, Griffin obviously able to make the huge difference on the back end of that fight. He wasn't really there for the start of it, which is really the main reason, I think, why it looked so good for Surely at the start of that fight. But once the Jax did arrive, he was able to clean up pretty easily. And it was a valiant effort from Stevo, able to finish off a couple of those low HP bars. Not quite enough.
Yeah,
Ocean
no, Grizz
Soul.
actually being really close, to be honest, to surviving and taking out a few members, but was able to just get taken out before this happened. But the real unsung hero for this is going to be Zephyr with the engages he's been finding. Because every
True.
single time he's been going in, he's actually been getting an amazing Frozen Tomb onto the enemy player or onto himself to survive a little bit longer. Getting that first engage to allow Nocturne to be fully opened up and not worry about any of the big ultimates coming out from Surely.
Oh, Grizz could be in trouble here.
Teleport
Dodges out on the Rupture, but the EQ, yo, not quite enough range for Stevo. The Nocturne does escape. Teleport coming in from Zephon. Lissandra potentially going to move in here and look for this. The blue buff looks like it will be claimed by Sacred Phoenix. They do not want to allow the side of Shirley to get that one, and I do believe that Sivir was able to pick it up.
Yeah, remember, we don't have Remnant anywhere near this fight. His teleport isn't up for the next 10 seconds. They can not contest this. They do have a good vision line to spot if they will start Baron. They don't need to go anywhere near this, but they still need to be careful, especially when all ultimates are up from the side of the Phoenix team. So it's really up to them if they want to do anything.
Yeah, we need the setups from Surely. The setups need to be flawless at this point if they want to win the fight, right? Like there is no longer any room for error, especially against a team composition like this with so much single target CC and with so much pick potential. Definitely a tall order.
Pick potential is the name of the game for Sacred Phoenix. But there's a itemization I want to talk about, which is very interesting. It's the Leandri's Anguish coming out from the Lissandra instead as wait a second. Karma flashes out.
Yeah, gonna get cataclysms. Pain has flash though. Yeah.
Is completely safe there. So not too much coming out for that. And I don't think it's really going to matter in these fights, mostly because of you don't really want to go on the Karma. If you're going on the Karma with your Cataclysm or with some of your main engage, it just leaves it wide open for the rest of the team to start off these fights for her. But going quickly over to the Leandri's Torment, I absolutely love this itemization because it just deals so much damage against Stevo and Phobes when you go in there, when you're able to get those big Frozen Tombs off, and when your passive starts going out, getting your ice minions out all over the place for you. So good itemization from him there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did mention earlier on as well the fact that the Lissandra is the only AP option available for Sacred Phoenix. So going for that higher DPS build, I think it does make a lot of sense. I completely agree. And Zephon has been playing the fights extraordinarily well also. You know, was the one who started off that team fight around the last dragon, going in for the big double root play. And that did end up working out quite well for him.
Yeah, Zephon doesn't have teleport. So if they do want to try and start a fight, we can see Remnant TPing up and no TP coming out from Zephon. So this could be a big opportunity for Surely to capitalize on.
Yeah, Sacred Phoenix, they have to be careful playing around this top side right now without their mid laner being able to join, as you say. But yeah, I guess the side of... Yeah. I guess the side of Surely don't necessarily realize that that is the situation. They're not playing very aggressively around this window, and it will just be the back away from both sides.
Well, Dragon will be spawning in the next 40 seconds. The resets are going to be coming out from the side of the Phoenix team. They really need to get themselves into a good position for this fight because it is so bad from the team of Surely when they ever try and go in. So they kind of get out here as fast as possible, get these wards out, and any misstep they're going to capitalize on. So we're going to have to see if Surely want to go for this because they're actually going for a different play. Going to completely sack this dragon to try and get bound instead. They will be spotted on a ward. So we're going to see a contest coming out from the Phoenix team.
They are completely on vision here. This is a very brave choice that I don't necessarily disagree with, but the fact that they're doing it on vision does make it significantly less threatening. As Jax is level 16 now, as well as the Lissandra, both incredibly strong. Cho'Gath is as well. You can see Phobos, very, very thick HP bar at this point in the game, but yeah, as you said, the side of Truly have completely ceded any kind of position around that bottom side. So the side of Sacred Phoenix, I mean, I feel like they could just send one person over to that dragon while everybody else kind of prevents the Baron from being taken. And that should be a pretty easy secure for them.
Yeah, take a look. That's exactly what they're doing. Sivir's in the bot lane trying to take this tower. All they have to do is stop this. And Nocturne and Jax have enough peel, enough damage to try and contest this. Because take a look. They keep making sure this Baron is healing up. Every single time Surely is trying to engage. They're just getting stopped at this moment. This is so bad. They need to make a play now.
Really textbook from Sacred Phoenix. Playing it out very, very nicely. Griffin may be a little bit too far forward, but no, he's fine. Able to casually leap to safety. And the dragon has been taken. Ocean Soul has been secured for the Sacred Phoenix. And now, with that very, very powerful buff in tow, now they can move up towards the Baron and look to start off themselves. Rupture does land onto the jungler. Griffin gets the stun. Sivo in with the EQ. Rupture onto 2 there. Paranoia over the top as Zephon and Grizz make their way into the back line. Glide is in danger. Glide is taken down. Lissandra does also fall, but Phobos is the next to drop as it is the side of Sacred Phoenix once again finding a massive team fight win.
Yeah, Remnant had TP to join, but there was no ward to TP too, so he just wasn't able to do it, making it a 4v5 and a clean and easy win coming out from Sacred Phoenix. So we'll quickly take a look at the replay as Baron is getting taken by Sacred Phoenix in live. We can just see there was a good engage coming out from the Jacks, trying to see if they can turn this, but remember, their mid laner is not here, and Draven is their own carry source. Jax jumps straight on top of him, save the paranoia from the Nocturne, and after your main carries are done, Victor finally joins the party, but is too little too late, poking and prodding, but not enough.
Yeah, as you know, you could really see the gold lead in that fight as well. Like Allegasia and Paint weren't really able to contribute very much. I mean, I think Allegasia tossed out a boomerang over the wall there, but they were a little bit zoned out by the Cho'Gath at the start of that fight. But just Grizz and Zephon getting in there was more than enough damage to take out the enemy bottom lane. So really, really far ahead now are the side of Sacred Phoenix with the Baron buff as well. They're in complete control. And now Zathos, I think it's mainly just a question of how cleanly can the Phoenix close it out from here.
Yeah, no, we're used to not seeing Surely be this far behind. The last time I actually saw this was in their first ever series where they were just a brand new team trying to come together. But now they're so much more powerful, and god damn that Draven can deal some damage when he wants to.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that is true. The Draven, you know, finished the 3rd item now. Phobos is just getting beat on by that lamppost.
Yeah, just a couple auto attacks coming out from a Glide. He can definitely one-shot one of these main AD carries, but it's going to be really difficult to do so when you definitely have that Frozen Tomb and you have that Paranoia straight in your face. The only benefit they have is having this Victor at 3 items and level 16. This champion is going to be their way out of this game.
Oh, that was Allegasia maybe getting a bit nervous as he saw all of these Surely members moving into the mid lane to defend, popping on the hunt. Just to build a little bit more space. So Griffin is very much getting collapsed on here. Has the counter-strike, though. Going to be jumping onto the Draven, and now he has his jungler as well as Nocturne comes in with the Paranoia. Grizz taking a lot of turret shots here. I believe he does have a GA. Yes, the Nocturne will go into GA, and now Griffin looking to finish the job and will be able to do so as the Jax is dominating and the Draven is down. Remnant, the only carry, still alive for Surely as Griffin goes back in for the double counter-strike. The inhibitor turret will fall. Phobos next to go down as well as the Victor has been taken out by Zephon. Lissandra able to glide her way into the back line. And it is the clean ace into the end to close things out as Sacred Phoenix take down Surely in just under 35 minutes.
What a game coming out from Phoenix. Did you see how powerful they were? Because even from minute 1, they were able to stop so many things that Big Boy Steve was trying to do. We saw J4 constantly hunted to get this Draven ahead, but every single time Allegasia and Pain in the bot lane was always able to say no. And on the top side as well, Grizz finding those fights, finding Phobos at the worst times possible, able to get himself a few kills and slowly pushing and pushing and pushing. And when Zephon and Grizz finally paired up to this mid and late game, there was just no chance at all because any of these carries they set their eyes on were absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely agree there. Zathos, you know, it really felt like from very, very early on in the game, Sacred Phoenix were just doing a little bit of a better job playing towards those win conditions. You know, as you were just calling out, Grizz up there in the top lane, getting Griffin ahead on the Jax. And it was very, very obvious, you know, as we move towards those later stages, how powerful the Jax was in the side lane. Most damage in the game as well for Griffin's Jax at almost 26k. easily the most in the game. So definitely well played there. And yeah, I do think that Steve-O had the right idea, right? He just didn't quite have the luck this time around. You know, he didn't quite have the execution in that bottom lane to actually get Draven the kill, unfortunately. So we'll see if Surely are going to be able to fight back in game 2. You know, I do think we expect them to be able to do so, right? They're 7-1 for a reason. This is an extremely strong team. And this game, I think, wasn't necessarily all that representative of the two teams. Do you think very much of it was decided by the draft there, Zathos?
Ruben, I'm going to tip my hat off and say it was draft diff. Mostly because I know the way that Surely plays this game. They put top lane on a Bruiserweight S champion like the GP, like the Jax, or anything that can, you know, deal damage and be a threat. Even something like a Camille, it can be absolutely anything. And for him to get put on the top lane just doesn't really make sense, because we saw these solo kills in a lane which is very heavily favored towards the Jax. So I'm surprised that was able to come through. But that is the power of Phobos, and especially as well with this team, how we are knowing them for their late games. A pick inside that needs to get early, get good in the early game. If they just make sure they have one of the strong late game carries like the Zeri, or maybe even Jinx coming out for them with that Lulu, and making sure that J4 doesn't have to be as scared about this early game, we could see a completely different Surely in the next game.
Absolutely. I think we're definitely not expecting Griffin to get their hands on the Jax for the second game. We'll just have to wait and see. Before we go to break, Zathos, do you have an MVP for this first one? Who do you think was the most impactful player on the side of Sacred Phoenix in securing this win?
Well, Sacred Phoenix really played super well as a team. So, say one player, it's a bit of an insult to the rest of them, but I'm debating between this mid-jungle duo, because both played such different roles in this game. Because Grizz was the one to get the kills. Grizz was the one to really set up all of these big fights. But on the other hand, we had Zephon. Zephon was the unsung hero. And as a support player who is unsung, for myself, I will be going Zephon because of how many amazing Frozen Tombs he was able to get on the Draven, to get out those cleanses, getting out those flashes, and just really setting up this Grizz for success.
Yeah. Definitely a fair vote there. I think Grizz definitely had the biggest hand in getting them the early lead, but Zephon was absolutely the captain in the team fights, going in for those engages, made it look real good. So either way, excellent performance from Sacred Phoenix in this first game. We are going to go to a short break now, guys, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Game 2 very shortly. CWL studio, getting ready for our second game of the night. Our first game ended up being fairly one-sided. You know, Sacred Phoenix, they started out pretty well, and then they just sort of gradually extended their lead, continued winning fights. They ended up just kind of choking Surely out of the game. Looking for some adaptations now, looking to see maybe Griffin and not being able to get the Jacks again for the second phase. I believe the teams will be swapping sides, so we should see Sacred Phoenix over on the blue now and Surely on red, so they'll have access to that last counter pick for their top laner. Zathos, what other adaptations do you think you'd like to see from Surely in this next game to try and make it maybe a little bit more competitive?
I would adapt it by adding a little bit more cheese, taking a bit of meat away. Oh wait, sorry, you're not asking about my dinner. My bad. Sorry, if everybody didn't know,
I'm not asking.
See what you did there. No, if everybody didn't know, the reason we're slightly late is because I was nomming on my food. I was feeling like an absolute Greek god at that moment, having a beautiful burger to my name. Sorry, I'm completely sidetracked. What was the question?
Oh, we were just talking about this next game and what adaptations would be good for Surely to make in order to potentially get themselves a win.
League of Legends, Surely. I'm with you. Perfect. So we discussed this a little bit earlier on, just before the end of last game, and it's mostly having to come down to their team comp and how they've been playing together as a team. Because when we first met Surely in the first game I saw them, they weren't a early game team for sure, let me tell you that, but they slowly built their way up to become stronger until they finally got to the point they were able to contest these early games. But still, their bread and butter is being a very safe team, allowing Phobos to get ahead on site like the Gangplank, and just having late game insurances of something like the Jinx or the Zoe with a Lulu supporting it, where you can just be so powerful. So the things I'd love to see is maybe a hyper carry for the late game coming out for the AD carry role, and a bruiser for the top lane. If they make these two changes, I think this game is going to be completely different.
All right. Well, it seems like a pretty straightforward adjustment then for Surely. Do you think the being able to play on the red side is going to be beneficial for that sort of approach? You know, obviously they will be able to get the final counter pick, but they will not have first pick. So they may have to like ban away the Jacks. What do you think is going to be? What do you think is going to end up happening with the Jacks in particular in the second draft?
I mostly think they're going to ban it away, because I didn't think that Surely Phobos, who was having a counter in the top lane, had anything to really match it or even, you know, get ahead on it. We did see the Cho'Gath outplay it, however, the champion later on just didn't have the impact we know Phobos for having. So I would definitely expect it to be getting banned away and trying to open up some more picks for him. But remember, if the Jax does get through, that does leave priority for some of the other picks we know they absolutely love. Like getting this Lulu again, pairing it with a good AD carry, or even getting a good jungler. Because that J4 may have not worked last game, but when that J4 starts rolling, and especially when it's in Surely's hands, there is nothing that can stop them.
Yeah. When Steve-O J4 hits, then it hits. Unfortunately, last game was a miss, unfortunately for Steve-O, but, you know, I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing to take another shot with the J4. Certainly, you know, I don't think any of that last game was down to Steve-O's individual play or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how much of a pivot Surely actually does make in the drafting phase, if they want to go for a similar sort of composition outside of the top lane pick, of course, is what we're really looking at, I think. Or if they're just going to do a little bit of a stronger pivot into maybe something that's more like full scaling, you know, more of a stronger scaling option in the bottom lane, perhaps, something like this. So still waiting to get into this next draft, guys. Need just a little bit more time still.
Yeah, but if we want to take a look at the standings real quick, we can see that it has changed slightly. Where, remember, we had the top dogs of Surely right at the top being 7-1. Because Sacred Phoenix picked up the first game, they are actually even on a point, being 7-2 apiece. So it's really going to come down to the next game to decide who is going to be in first place. And whoever's in first place, they go 2-0 next week. They're going to be in an incredible position for the stand is coming up, because they only have this split and, well, sorry, this game and next game before they get themselves into playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely right. There is one more week next week, I believe, before the playoffs do begin, correct?
Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
Yes. So, not entirely decided by this next game, but Since this is a battle between two of the top teams in the division, this is an incredibly important game in determining those standings. And is really, the winner of this is going to be giving themselves a really, really good chance in actually securing that top 1 spot at the end of the split.
Yeah, because if you're the top 1 spot, you're allowed to go against the 5th team instead of the 4th team, I do believe, which makes it just a little bit easier for you to go up against. But that is nothing to scoff at, because both the 5th and the 4th team are both on 5 points and 4 points, being Team Mental Gap and Samson Black. Of course, this can change with how this is all going. There is a possibility where if Sean Lee is not able to pick up a win here and lose again completely 0-2 next week, there's a complete opportunity for Fiznassi, for Mental Gap and Samson Black to take them over in the standings, but that would be a very difficult thing to do. So I'm expecting Sean Lee to easily be in the top 4, even if they do drop another game.
Yeah, I mean, that would be shocking, right? If Shirley actually do drop out of the top 2, after being so dominant for almost the entire season. That would be pretty insane. A pretty crazy way to close out the regular split. But we'll just have to wait and see. Do we know who their opponent is next week? Shirley's opponent?
Shirley's opponent, I'm guessing we'll be able to find out in just a second. But we mostly just need to talk about how these teams are going to fare when they get themselves into these playoff brackets. Because right now it is just 2 games. You win 1, you lose 1. It doesn't matter. You go 1-1. But in the next thing, it is do or die. You need to make sure that you win every single series if possible. Luckily, if you are in the top 4 teams, you will get yourself in a little bit of a safer position, because you can lose a game and go to lower brackets. However, that is something you do not want to do. So even if they do lose now, Surely or Sacred Phoenix, they need to make sure that they are right and ready for this playoff brackets.
Yeah. We said it at the beginning of the night as well. Every single game, every single win is so important at this point in the season. Definitely, these teams are going to be very hungry to get those wins, as many of them as possible. Looks like... go ahead.
Yeah, and there was one thing I wanted to talk about was we give a lot of credit to Surely about things they can change, things that they can do better, but we can't take anything away from Sacred Phoenix, a team which hasn't actually been casted that much, or I haven't really had the pleasure of casting, I don't believe before, or not a lot before, and I'd absolutely love to cast them more, because this team is actually got quite a few veterans on it. Everybody except for their top lane Griffin has been here since season 1, and it's so good to see that they are getting themselves in a dominating position, because I have heard that their best standings was actually in season 1. They got themselves to the semi-finals, and the way they are playing now, I think this could be their best season to date.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Zathos. A lot of these players have a lot of history here in the CWL, lots of experience for them to draw on in these moments. We'll see. There is a little bit of history, actually, specifically between the players on the 2 teams as well. It was Stevo and Remnant were also playing, in those early seasons. They're on Surely now, of course, but they were actually the ones who did, in the end, eliminate, I believe, the Silver Phoenix all those seasons ago. So now, look, Silver Phoenix, or Sacred Phoenix, looking for a little bit of revenge tonight, looking to push Surely out of that first place position, deny Stevo the opportunity to start or end the regular season in that spot. See if they're going to be able to do it. Still getting organized. Should be able to get into the draft pretty shortly, guys. Sorry for the delay.
It is all good, because guess what? They get to hear our beautiful voices, and we can talk about anything we want. I can talk about how my day was. I went to WASD. It is a gaming convention in the UK, because I do casting, but I also am a poor, lonely game design university student. So went away, played some actually really incredible games. If people are not in the indie game dev scene, trust me, you may like these big games like League of Legends, like these other competitive games, but there are some amazing indie games you really have to go to, or even go to local events, because we have this community online, but there are plenty of communities out there for different things that we do enjoy, like I went to yesterday.
Well, sounds like a great time there, Zathos. Any games in particular that you really enjoyed that you would want to shout out, or?
Shout out, Jesus, I'm becoming an actual marketing man at this point. There was actually a game called System Shock. It's a little bit more on the popular side. However, it was a game where you were a sci-fi agent And the combat just felt really smooth and clean. You know, the ones which are a little bit more roguelike, that you're able to just go in and out, be able to move all about. And it just feels really nice and passionate about it. And that's exactly what they were. But I can't talk about other games when I have logic in my ear telling me, how dare you? League of Legends is the most important game as we do get ourselves straight into the draft. And we'll have to see. Will the adaptations be listened to? We'll surely listen to what I have to say. I'm expecting the top lanes to get banned away, of course, from the side of Surely because of just how powerful Phobos is on it. So we're going to have to see if he has anything deeper in the tank for him as the hard engages that we know that Sacred Phoenix absolutely love again banned away, like the Sack. Maybe even the Sejuani might be coming out. I would love to see maybe the Lissandra as well, only because it just stuffs a lot of the engage tools that Surely has and loves to go for, especially when they pick stuff like the J4 where it can just get absolutely Frozen Tomb out of existence. Another just ban going away completely to Zephon. Must be a bit of an Akali man, as that has been taken away as well. Oh, that being the final ban for Surely.
Zephon was so high impact in that previous game. I believe the bans are pretty similar to what we saw in the last draft. I don't remember exactly, but it is actually going to be the Sejuani prioritized now for the Sacred Phoenix. So Grizz on a little bit of a different look this time around, although I guess the Sejuani is technically a flex.
Yeah, I think Sacred Phoenix is just going to go for their basic comp of let's get to this late game, let's get these big team fights, and let's just play the style we know. Because the last one was a little bit more interesting, where it was a bit more of a poke comp, and then trying to go all in. As the side of Surely, they are confident on their picks today. Did you see how fast they were coming out? Going for the Amumu Zeri. Amumu can go towards the jungle, even top lane and support, but mostly going to be focused around support and jungle. It'll be interesting to see where their flex pick is going to go as they finally get a better AD carry, I believe, for a glide, something like the Zeri, which I'm expecting Luli to be coming out in the next rotation, mostly because of how well it does pair with Stevo, and we know how Megachav loves playing these ego type picks, so Sandra will be coming through on the side of Sacred Phoenixes, and it's looking like they're just going for their bread and butter. Little bit of CC from mid lane, able to lock them up and able to have Desire really get herself rolling in these big team fights later on.
Yeah, a little bit of Freljord synergy coming out from the Sacred Phoenix. A lot of lockdown already between the mid and jungle. Feeling pretty good, and that is actually going to be the match in the mid lane for Surely as they pick up the Cosmic Dragon on R3. So that is a very exciting pick. Both supports dropping through the first phase of picks. This actually looks like it's going to be the top laner focus in this second ban phase for the Phoenix. Surely going to ban away the Rakan and the Nautilus as some options that would be good alongside the Xayah. There's the Jax, the Grandmaster at Arms, also going to get banned away Zathos.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense with all these bans. Neela here would not be expected. I'm expecting Lulu to come out, but there is a very dangerous pick that Phoenix can pick. They are able to pick Blitzcrank into it. So if you do pick Lulu now and you think the Pain is going to play, it's going to be very dangerous. But instead, I was not seeing this coming. The Blitzcrank is going to be getting picked away, but it's going to be quite difficult. Xayah does have the Featherstorm to get away. You don't really want to bring a Lissandra into you, because she's just going to be able to Frozen Tomb herself out of it. And as well as a Braum, I'm not really liking the Blitzcrank pick, especially with the team you have. I would have liked like a little bit more defensive coming out of them. And also the top laner has not picked from the side of Phoenix team. A Fiora could be decent here, going for a little bit more side lane pressure, but instead we'll be going for the Aatrox. And there's only really one champion that you'd want to hook on the side of the Phoenix team, and that's the Xayah. But Xayah has just so many different disengage tools. It's going to be hard for him to play this.
Yeah, the Blitzcrank value, at first glance at least, does not seem very high for Surely. The pick honestly does remind me a bit of the Jarvan in the previous game, where it seems like it's an investment in trying to get an early lead for the side of Surely, something that Blitzcrank is certainly capable of, but I do feel like, as you were just saying, Zathos, the actually options for the Crank are quite limited, even, in the earlier part of the game. So we'll have to see how it gets played out. It's a little bit of an interesting pairing alongside the Zeri as well. Zeri not necessarily looking for any early action, so Blitzcrank might be kind of just twiddling his mechanical thumbs for a little while and waiting to try and get some high impact hooks from Fog of War around objectives. But one thing that we can say, Zathos, is that Surely definitely have given themselves some more options in the late game compared to what they had in the previous game.
Yeah, but I'm still a bigger fan of how the Phoenix team has really decided to go for their draft. Because if we take a look at Surely, what does the top laner want to do? It wants to go for a 1D1 comp, wants to split away and let Fiora do her job. However, on the opposite side of the map, you have an Amumu, which is clearly a team fighting champ with the Aurelion Soul as well. That can play on side lanes, but it's better in these big team fights, especially with the ultimate that can hit all members on the enemy team when it's able to get self stacked up. Zeri as well, really good with this. The only champion to join it is the Blitzcrank, which isn't always the best in team fights, especially against the enemy team. While we just see on Sacred Phoenix's side, it's just a clean and clever team fight comp where it's able to keep all of the players safe. It's a very bruisery, very tanky lot. It's going to be really difficult for Surely to play this.
So you do favor the Sacred Phoenix composition once again then, Zathos?
Yeah, I just think their drafting today is just really outperforming the way that Surely has. Just seeming like every single time Surely takes a pick, they just understand what to pick into it. Like the Braum into the Blitzcrank, understanding, hey, I can't play an Enchanter here, I need to play something that's a little bit more defensive. Instead of going for something that is maybe a little bit better engaged, like a Leona, they decide to go for more defensive because it's just so strong against the Blitzcrank. So yeah, just a really good adaptation for them. The only way I see Surely winning this game is through this Fiora in the top lane. They're able to get Fiora far enough ahead. She does also have to riposte to stop the 2 more NECC coming out from the side of the Phoenix team, but it's still going to be difficult. Amumu needs to try and get this lane ahead. Otherwise, it should come crashing and burning down in these late game fights.
Absolutely. We do see Phobos on the carry. This is something that we were really hoping to see, and we will get it for game 2. So that is something to look out for Surely. And, you know, they have a lot more tools, as I mentioned, in the late game as well. So that is something that has been a strength for them all season long. But over here on the other side of things, Sacred Phoenix, they have the momentum from game 1. They have Zephon once again on the Lissandra, a pick that he performed extraordinarily well with in that previous game. And they have Pain once again on a nice defensive support to keep Allegasia safe in that bottom side. We'll see if Surely are going to be able to bring it back and make it an even 1-1 in this 2-game set, or if Sacred Phoenix are going to take first place for themselves for the first time this season. Don't go anywhere, folks. This all-important Game 2 will be starting very soon. Okay, my friends, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for Game 2. Sacred Phoenix now on the blue side, and Sure Lead now on the red, and they have a Blitzcrank Zathos, and they are going to use him at the level 1 mark. But this is very clever from Sacred Phoenix, the 5-stack in the bush. They are very ready for this play to come out from Sure Lee. How's it going to play out? I feel like the Braum, yeah, they're against a Braum at level 1. That's dangerous.
Don't do it. If they walk here, they are not going to win this fight.
He's going to go for the hook. He gets paint, though. He gets the Braum. Oh,
just a bit
looks like it's going to be the back away. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit too tanky coming out from the side of Sacred Phoenix. They are going to be able to stay alive with the Braum. And what does come out, does, they do have a little bit more vision, a small win coming from them. But I'm angry. Right?
Why are you angry?
I have heard things that these two teams were trying to troll me in Champ Select today. I have been hearing things as maybe. Wait a second.
It's another hook. And the bandage toss as well. Algasia forced to flash before he can even get to lane. Very cheeky as Stevo is going to flash for the bandage toss, but Paint has made his way back in with full HP, and the concussive blows are stacking up. The frostbite comes through. It's going to be the stun on Stevo, and Stevo gets taken out for the first blood. Tragedy strikes for sure. Leah's Mega Chad's going to get locked up as well. He flashes over the wall, and it's not going to keep him alive as Paint flashes for the follow, and Zephon gets in there. And it's going to be a double kill for the Braum support, and Sacred Phoenix up 3-0 in the first 2 minutes of the game.
And this is why you do not 1v1 Braum in the early game. You get too close to him, you get the passive one yourself, let me tell you. That CC for 2 seconds doesn't sound too much, but trust me, especially when you have a Sejuani in your face, you do not want that to happen at all. It's actually, it could be worse from the side of Surely, only because 2 kills did go up to Braum, something you do not want, but what can you really do about it? But I need to finish off my point. So, back in Champ Select, wait a second.
Oh, they're not going to give you the chance at those. Griffin is running out of HP. One more vital proc, Phobos. Oh, no. He flashes. He still gets the kill, but he also goes down to the minions as the top laners go 1-for-1.
Oh, this hot lane being an absolute bloodbath. Both having TPs back. Flash was expended from Fiora to get that kill. And it wasn't even first blood, so it's not like he even got more kills for that. So Griffin is in a very good position after that, having the flash to get out to safety or maybe even set up a play later. But I just don't have an opportunity to speak with these two teams. They are just going for fight after fight after fight. So I need to make this up as fast as possible. In Champ Select, they dared show the Bard, knowing that I am a Bard main, and trolling me by thinking that I would notice that they would be picking it. But no, I knew they would never pick that. When you're a Bard main, you pick that champion whenever you can. And none of these players have ever played Bard before. So how dare they think that they can do this? The first time they pick Bard, sure, I'll be their supporters. But not like this.
Very nice, Zathos, outplaying both of our teams. And we are seeing Grizz actually getting a little bit of an outplay of his own. Went for the 3 camp into the invade. So Sejuani has successfully stolen Amumu's red buff. Very, very cheeky stuff coming out here from Grizz. And now looking like potential for a double crab situation as well, especially with this mid push from the Lissandra. You know, Aurelion Sol not really to get any sort of priority going in these early minutes. And these early leads are going to continue stacking up, it looks like, for the Phoenix.
No, it's just going bad to worse. And this all came off the back of the first play, where they were able to get those 3 kills in the bot lane. As top lane's just fighting.
Griffin is a little bit far forward here. Oh, the bandage toss onto a minion, though. Aatrox did have to flash away and may fall victim. Oh, sidesteps the second bandage toss. Dodges away from the post as well. So beautifully played by Griffin to stay calm in that situation, dodges out on everything that needs to be dodged, and now Grizz is here for the counter gank. The Frostbite comes out, no repulse available for the Fiora, and Griffin is gonna pick up his second kill. 2-1 now on the Aatrox, and Phobos, this critical win condition for the side of Sure Lee, is falling behind early on.
Yeah, it does actually go for a nice itemization of getting the Executioner's calling, making sure that this Aatrox isn't able to heal up too much, but when you're killed down in a skill matchup, it is going to be very difficult to win this one out. And being 5 kills up, being 2k gold up in only 5 minutes, this is exactly what Sacred Phoenixes want.
Yeah, they are sitting real pretty right now at the start of this second game. Feeling really good about the whole situation. We do have Sejuani in the bot side river, and their bot lane has push. So they will be able to look towards this first dragon almost immediately after it spawns. You know, Steve-O is also in the area, but just his bot lane getting pushed in and already a little bit behind in terms of pace here towards that Sejuani, as we can see Griffin really making good use of his gold lead in that top side.
Yeah, he is also going to tick over to level 6. And that Dirk, like you said about, I'm expecting it to be going into an Eclipse side that we've seen Aatrox building quite a lot. Because he actually deals quite a lot of burst damage. And if he's able to get killed, the amount of healing he can get, that sustain is just so powerful. And especially in this lane against the Fiora, he will keep trying to poke and prod you out. But something like the Aatrox just had enough.
Good riposte there from Phobos, yeah. That would have been probably a dead Fiora if he wasn't able to lock down that riposte on the Q3. This is a very, very big minion wave. Griffin with 6. Oh, lands the first. He was going to go for it with the World Ender and just dunks Phobos under the turret. Easily glides his way out to safety as well. Griffin really running away now with this top side. Steve-O's going to look for it. Can't find the Banish Toss, though. And the Amumu's going to be next on the chopping block. Oh, he barely gets away with 1 HP. Flashing away. Now the star falls, but Griffin sidesteps it. Who knew a star could be sidestepped, but Aatrox actually made that one look pretty easy. And now Remnant not able to make anything happen with this topside roam, and Griffin's able to waltz his way on out.
Yeah, take a look at his mid lane. Do you see? That's a full tower going over, as it does.
It's okay, it's okay.
It's only on the Braum. But no, top lane, we see about 20 CS getting completely lost towards that Fiora in the top lane. Losing
a huge wave,
especially in the mid lane as well. Sephiroth losing, or well, gaining the wave onto the Civilian Soul and also getting a tower play. Just these small plays that one player starts losing, they just keep making it worse and worse by trying to go up there and get these kills instead of just trying to stabilize.
Yeah, I mean, after the Fiora goes down like that, I mean, I feel like Steve-O could have just gone up there just to farm the wave, and that probably would have been okay. But, yeah, I mean, going for that play when you're 2 levels down against the Aatrox, yeah, Griffin was low HP, but he's Aatrox. I mean, you know he has all of that healing in the kit. And, you know, it was close with Remnant coming up there as well. As Griffin almost got taken out by the Falling Star, but able to sidestep it. Aurelion Sol just not with enough control, you know, this early on in the game to actually make that punish a reality. And now, yeah, the Aatrox is already closing in on that Eclipse. I don't quite remember the combined cost.
900 gold.
There it is.
Gold is what he needs. I play a bit of Pantheon top lane in my spare time, so Eclipse is a tad bit bust on that. But I'm loving this roam coming out from the Braum. Understanding the way to accelerate this game by how far is by making sure you get yourself the Rift Herald. And because Blitzcrank is so low, even if he does come up, they won't be able to contest this. So I'd love to see him maybe trying to focus around this bot side, trying to find Xayah. Even though she will have the Featherstorm up by the time they get down there, you need to try something now, or it's just going to get from bad to worse.
Yeah, Allegasia not 6 yet, does have flash. Is gonna get have to dodge the hook here. Will flash the hook, so that is good from Mega Chad to get that summoner spell out of the enemy marksman. But the Blitzcrank revealing himself in the bottom lane does mean that Grizz and Paint are fully aware that this should be a pretty free Herald take over on the top side. And Allegasia able to stay safe under the turret, at least for now. Yeah, did manage to secure the level 6 mark as well now. So with access to the Featherstorm, Allegasia should be very, very comfortable to farm out this wave.
Yeah, Hook Miss is putting themselves in a pretty nice position to just be farming up. And they're not even going to be losing any CS, because if they ever dare go for this tower dive without the Amumu, the Featherstorm will keep you perfectly safe. Only losing one tower plate, while your whole entire team is able to pick up a Rift Herald, able to have so much pressure onto the enemy team. What I would love to see from
Amumu gets the root there with the Blade Caller. Oh, that was a lot of damage coming out from Allegasia in the 1v2. Nice Xayah Mastery coming through, and that's going to be the Ring of Frost that locks down the Aurelion Soul, and he just can't move. He can't escape. That's a nice riposte. Gets the stun down. Griffin running rapidly out of HP, trying to flash away, trying to stay alive. Not going to work out as the shutdown goes over to Phobos, and this Fiora could be back in it.
Yeah, Featherstorm.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that's looking like a dead Blitzcrank. Not quite enough with the Blade Caller. Only one more feather needed to connect, but it was not to be, and the Mega Chat is a mega safe. Getting back towards that base. Oh, no. Oh, maybe not. I cursed it. That's actually my fault. I cursed it.
It's a caster curse,
Uh,
man. We're used to all of them. But incredible play coming out from the Brom. Alizadja almost getting the kill with the Featherstorm, and nice sidestep from Mega Chad gets him out to safety. But Pate was like, you dare walk into me level 1.
oh my
Okay,
goodness.
you made a mistake, and I am going to make you pay for this. Going 3-0, looking a bit like an 80 carry scoreline. And Sejuani is getting contested for this buff.
Oh. Steve-O gets the Gromp. Able to lock it down with the Smite there. Going in now with the Bandage Toss. Glide does have the Spark Surge available. Couldn't move forward now on this area if he would like to. Zephon, no access to the Glacial Tomb at the moment. That Bandage just a bit short.
Hook up.
Oh, Hook also just going wide there. As the slow from the Braum Q was enough to prevent any further chase. Starting up the Dragon now. This Grizz still no access to the Glacial Tomb. Does have a Blast Cone that could use to try and get into the pit, and the Flash as well. Goes in there, gets the steal. Grizz just smites it away, and Zephon actually going in as well. Lissandra will get taken out, though. This fight looking like it's going in favor of Surely. They pick up a couple of kills in compensation. They lose out on the Dragon. But a little bit of overcommitment there, I think, from Sacred Phoenix, thinking they could get the objective and the fight, and that was not the case.
I mean, it all came down to there were no ultimates on the side of Sacred Phoenix because they tried to go for an engage earlier on, but they just weren't able to find anything. So then when they tried to go for the Dragon, try and go for the steal, Saffron went over, Grizz went over, but your main carry of Alizadja, who already finished off their first item, just wasn't able to join the fight, had to walk all the way around, and by the time they got there, the team fight was just completely over. So a great way for Surely Glide to get back into this.
Yeah, absolutely. They're able to shore up a little bit of that gold lead. It does suck, of course, that they weren't able to get the Dragon. But even still, you know, that was a decent exchange for them. Where did the money go? I believe Zeri did get one of those kills. So
wait a second, look top lane.
This big news, yeah. Phobos. No oh, does have the repulse now, yeah. It doesn't quite land, but yeah, the Curse of the Sad Mummy is going to be more than enough. As Griffin gets locked down once again, Aatrox trying to play aggressively, trying to use the lead that he had, but has been punished a couple of times now by Steve-O.
Yeah, but look at the opposite sides of the map. They're actually able to place the Rift Herald in the mid lane to get themselves the first tower of the game. Open this game up, and on the bot side as well. Another tower plate does go towards Sire. Blitzcrank hunting for anything he can, but with this Featherstorm up, and with Braum just being as tanky as he is, there's just nothing he can really do. So a small win from the side of Surely in the top lane, but easily counterable by the way the Phoenix team have played.
Absolutely right there, Zathos. Definitely Sacred Phoenix able to get a lot in both mid lane and bot lane there. So we can see that bot turret down to only 2 plates remaining. But we were talking, you know, right out of Champion Select about how Phobos is such an important piece of this Surely roster. And getting him back into this game, getting the Fiora into a position where she can be the one to pressure in the side lane is really important for Surely as we move forward into the mid game.
Yeah, and I'm actually really loving how Steve-O's been playing, because Steve-O in the last game, it wasn't his best game. J4, it just didn't seem to be working out on the spot side. But now on this Amimi, he's been getting quite a lot of picks, especially on Griffin in the top lane, because Griffin was 3-0 at some point of the game, and now is in a not as powerful position as Blitzcrank. That hurts. That hurts to see. Blitzcrank was so close to getting the hook, but just wasn't able to get it off in the second. As top lane is actually going to be turning around pretty shortly, because Fiora, with that repose, is going to be able to keep sliding in and out, as a Q will be up to its last level very shortly. On a, I think around about a 2-second cooldown or 3. It's really not that long if she's able to hit it and run in and out.
Phobos now has access to the Grand Challenge once again as well, just coming back off cooldown. Riz is here though. Phobos easily able to dash away. Or lunge away, in this case. But yeah, this is just going to be Grizz moving in to push away the enemy top laner. That's going to be Bandage Toss into the hook. Zephon in trouble. The silence as well prevents the Lissandra from self-casting the ultimate. And Lissandra just gets immediately dropped. A nice pick for Surely in the bot lane.
Yeah, because he did actually see any vision. He didn't know when this hook was going to come in, so he wasn't able to flash away to safety. But on the opposite side, that is going to be another tower over towards this Aatrox, just getting him stronger and stronger, where he's had a 40 CS lead over top of this Fiora this whole entire game. Because it may look like Fiora is keeping up with items, but it's actually not even got boots yet.
True. Very, very true. had to stop off for that Executioners to try to deny some of the healing from the Aatrox. Here comes Steve-O once again. The World Ender will be utilized from Griffin to try and create a little bit of space, but Cholos is just taking him out in the 1v1 right now. Steve-O will come in for the finish, utilizing a little bit of extra damage from the Amumu, but the collapse from Sacred Phoenix now is coming through. The Glacial Fisher comes out, gets the knock-up onto Steve-O, and that's just way too much CC for the Amumu, who's not going to be able to escape. Paint takes the kill. 4-0 now on the Braum, so a little bit too many last hits, maybe going over to the heart of the Freljord, but, all's well that ends well. Still able to get the kill, and with the enemy jungler down, this should be a very easy second Herald take.
Yeah, Blitzcrank just warned in saying that's going to happen. The best thing I'd love to see coming out from Surely is completely sack the Swift Helm. You're not able to contest it, and just get fishing over this Drake, because Drake will be spawning in the next minute or so. It's a bit of a fight.
Oh, that's a Glacial Tomb. That's a lot of damage. Remnant, one more shard. Yeah, there it is. Zephon making that one look easy underneath the bot tier 1, taking out the enemy mid laner. And now with these staggered deaths, it is still a 5v4 on the map for Sacred Phoenix. Well, you were calling for some vision control to be taken by Surely in this bot side river, but without their mid laner, even if they were able to get some vision control, I don't think they'd be able to do much with it.
Yeah, they also don't have the ultimate on the Amumu. Some of their big team fighting pressure is just completely alleviated because of that, so there's just no way they can contest this, especially with their mid laner instead. So instead, they will decide to sack this Drake, try and push out this mid wave, and try and get anything they can top. But teleports coming out from Griffin just means it's a full win on the side of the Phoenix.
Yeah, able to deny the cross map with that teleport, as you were just pointing out. And we do have Ocean Soul for the second game in a row. And in this game, I actually do think it has significantly more value than it did in the previous. Aatrox, Sejuani, Braum, all these champions going to be able to survive for so long and get so much value out of that HP regen.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, especially with Sejuani just being such a tank. As I'm going to be quickly getting a replay of what exactly happened in this bot lane fight. And we can just see, it is just painful. Blitzcrank just trying his best to run away for the hills. But this Braum, look at him. Eyes are hunting, looking for anything he can. Take a look. 1, 2, 3. And that is a portal combat. You have ever seen it. As we
Live here, Griffin is in a lot of trouble, and actually he is in fact dead. That's Steve-O making his way up into the top lane, but wasn't even needed that time. It is Phobos now winning out in the 1v1 on this Fiora, so really, really big news for Surely.
Yeah, that surely does mean the top lane's in the favor of Surely for this time being, because of Fiora will slightly outscale Aatrox later the game goes. It's just how the champion works in 1v1s. It is actually just built as Surely as a Mumu's in a good position.
Yeah, gonna get the sad mummy is Featherstormed. Algazi able to stay safe for now. Banishos back in, and that one does connect onto the Eye of the Falling Star. Comes down now, it's a pretty big shockwave, but Grizz doing a great job of frontlining Zephon in there as well with the CC. The Herald already taken out the tier 2 and so many low health bars on Surely as they get taken out. Steve-O now trapped all by his lonesome. The rest of the team not able to assist. Zeri barely limping away on a sliver of a health bar. And it's Sacred Phoenix once again winning out in the team fight. Phobos winning out in the side, but that is the only thing that Surely have been able to get going for themselves in this game. And it's even a tier 3 turret Zathos that's taken out before 20 minutes.
Oh, Pain, I don't think he's a support anymore. Up to 5 kills now, was able to take out Revenant in a 1v1 at the end of that. But the biggest clutch of that is going to be Zephon. In this replay, I want you to take a look at this re-engage that he is able to do. So, of course, the Rift Herald comes down. And Mumu's looking for this. Only gets one person with his ultimate onto the Braum. Not exactly what they want. We're trying to see Mumu doing anything he can. But take a look. Take a look at Zephon in this backline. Able to stun up to, get the ultimate on the Zeri, meaning he's absolutely not able to do anything. And now this is the Braum show. Look at him flashing forward, getting the kill, and then just making sure that Zeri is absolutely able to do nothing. An amazing play coming after the team. Understanding who needs to tank at what time, and now they are going to get themselves a 5k gold lead. They are in such a dominated position, and they clearly deserve it with their gameplay.
Absolutely. I guess when your Braum is that fed, then he can carry the fights, right? That's just kind of how it goes. As Phobos, yeah, is looking pretty good in this side lane. Looking like Griffin might be slated to go down once again, but does have Grizz rotating over, and that Glacial Tomb locks down Phobos. Didn't see it coming. Mega Chad gonna get taken out, and that's gonna be the reset for Griffin, and he knocks Phobos out of the sky with the Darkened Blade. Fiora still limping away, trying to survive. Paint might not have the necessary gap closing. Fiora lunging away. Phobos should be able to escape from this one, but Mega Chad was not so lucky. Oh, that's a flash in for Griffin. Not quite enough. Glide will do his namesake over the wall there. Make his way into the top lane now to defend. 1 minute on Ocean Soul available. Steve-O going with the bandage toss. Wanting to contest for his chickens. And looks like we'll be able to get the big one.
Yeah, we actually have Phobes actually TPing back in, maybe looking for something on the top lane yet again. Tries to dash over, but isn't able to. Have you ever had those games where you know, made a small mistake? You know,
happens to
you go for that 1v1 play, and it just does not happen. As I may need to wait a second, top lane.
Yeah, Griffin is looking very, very dead now. Griffin, I think, did overstay a little bit. The flash was utilized a little bit earlier as well to try and get the kill onto the Fiora, and that, of course, does mean that he does not have it to try and survive that situation. But that was pretty much a full commitment from Surely towards that top lane to get that pick. And Griffin's going to have teleport when he respawns, which will be about 5 to 8 seconds before the Dragons. So, you know, it was a pick for Surely that they did need, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, Zethos.
Yeah, no, especially when there were 2 flanking TP wards. We saw how amazing Zephon is at these flanks. If he's able to TP on the ward we see in both of these side positions, it can be very difficult as a hook does almost land. This will be a 4 versus 4 until the TPs are coming out, which are
Here comes the Aatrox. Teleport into the enemy jungle and join up with the rest of the team. Grizz charging forward now with the Arctic Assault. Knock up Lance onto the Blitzcrank. Phobos going in, but stunned up immediately. The Glacial Fissure comes out as well. The riposte is enough to keep the Fiora alive for now, but not for much longer, as it's going to be Sacred Phoenix just wiping them up in the team fight. Paint will finally go down for the first time this game. But that fight was not close, my friend. It's going to be Ocean Soul. It's going to be Sacred Phoenix in full control and looking to secure themselves first place with 1 week to go in the regular season.
Yeah, now eyes are set on this Baron because of all the players being dead for at least 20 seconds. They can easily be able to grab it here, but we can take a look at this replay. We can see exactly what went wrong, and it just has to be how he positioned on Mega Chad, because the Blitzcrank is just a little bit too out. So 2 players are on him, so they think they can turn it on this bot side, but then Lysandra goes straight in, one-shots the AD carry, so now it's only Zeri up and alive to do what she can, but it's just too little too late with the feathers getting pulled back, completely stunned up, and the team right behind him was able to get up that win. And on the backside is also able to pick up that Baron with the Ocean Soul, and it's just going from worse to dire for the Surely side.
Yeah, very clean front to back there from Sacred Phoenix, and with the gold lead, you know, we saw what they were able to do with it. Very, very nicely done. Just now able to secure the Baron as well, of course, after getting the soul. Very, very easy take after taking out most of the enemy team as well. Now, what kind of formation would you like to see come out from Sacred Phoenix to try and close this one out nice and clean? They already took down that tier 3 in mid a little bit earlier, so maybe playing off some different lanes, or what do you think?
I actually think I for 1v1 is completely reasonable here, mostly because you have 2 tanks that are able to support your main AD carries, because the Sejuani can go away, Braum will always keep them tanky. There's plenty of time for your people to TP back in, especially Zephon. Zephon, because there's so many gap closes able to get out. The only one I'm scared of is Griffin, because of how many times he has already been getting caught out in this game. So 1v1 or maybe a 4-1 with Zephon on the side, really depending on what they want to do. It does seem like it's going to be a 1v1. As top lane is still getting hunted for. It's always looking like they are hunted to get Griffin behind. They did get Phobes a little bit of a lead, but it just might be not enough.
Just hasn't been enough. That's going to be it. The dash to the side for Glide, able to stay alive for now. And now it's going to be Mega Chad flashing in for the knockup on Allegazia, but the Zai's able to stay alive for now. Will get stunned up by the falling star, and ignited, burning down, not enough. Oh, it's going to be Steve-O going with the bandage toss smite combo to finish off the enemy marksman, but he's going to sacrifice himself for it. And it's Sacred Phoenix again, 4 for 1 in the team fight. Phobos the only one left alive, and Zathos, I'm thinking this might be the end.
It might be the end. It was all coming down to the feathers getting pulled straight back to a dead Zaya, bringing two with her to a grave. And now it is the main player from the side of Surely Phobos. He needs to do something here because there are death timers of 10 seconds on his team. He needs to make sure to push out this wave. And even if he does, that is two inhibitors down. And if I ever played a game of League of Legends, if I'm two inhibs down, I am going to be screaming for that FF.
Yeah, I want to say that was a relatively conservative line from Sacred Phoenix. With those 10 seconds left on the death timer, I feel like they could have made a push towards those Nexus turrets. But, Fiora was still alive to try and do a little bit of wave clear to try and stop them from ending. So a little bit of the safer line taken. And with those two inhibitors down, it's very, very straightforward how to play things out from here. Really does feel like it's only a matter of time before Sacred Phoenix are going to be closing in on that top side as well.
Yeah, no, and it's so difficult for Surely to come back into this game because from the start I said I wasn't a big fan of their team comp because they are focused on allowing this Fiora to get ahead. But then they have champions like Blitzcrank that want to get picks as well, and then they have Zeri that wants to get in a team fight. I would have absolutely loved to see maybe more of a poke style bot lane actually coming out of them. Something like Caitlyn Lux or Caitlyn Bard, cough cough, wink wink, nudge nudge, I'll teach you, just ask. Something like that, and then having a little bit more of a defensive jungler. I understand the Sejuani did get taken away. Even going J4 or a Mumu is okay. It's just I feel like that comp just doesn't have the same cohesion that the side of Phoenix have, and that's the reason why they're winning so strongly. As Braum is hook.
Now onto the Braum. Paint is quite low now. Glacial Fisher comes out as Zephon diving underneath the turret, and with the Glacial Tomb, she's able to take out the enemy mid laner, but the Lissandra will also drop, but there goes the Aatrox just popping off in the back line with the World Ender, and Allegasia more than a match for Steve-O by himself on this Amumu. And that is going to be the 5-for-1 this time around, and that will be the end of the game. Significantly faster, Zathos, than game number 1, as Sacred Phoenix make an extremely convincing case for themselves as the best team in the division.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore. The way that they have been playing, they deserve to be on top of the league and deserve to be on top of Surely. Well, today in general, because Surely they didn't look the same as I'm used to seeing them. I'm a Surely fan, and I surely want to see them back at the top. Oh. But you also do need to remember that both of these teams, they do have many more opportunities, because both of these are definitely going to be in the brackets coming up. They are going to be in the playoffs, so we will hopefully be seeing a resurgence of both of these teams. And there's many good and bad for both of these teams that can take away for this. From the side of Surely, I'm expecting them to go back to more of their style, more of this late game, more of putting their top laner on something that can impact around the map, can impact anywhere that isn't just top lane, because was able to get a lead in the top lane but needed so much support, so much help, but it was just too little too late. Well, on the opposite side, we just have to give massive applause to the way that they have been doing it, because oh my god, have you seen some of those engages, some of those team fights? It just looked like the side of Sacred Phoenix were just on the exact same page. 6-2. If you said they were 8-0, I would not disagree with you, especially with how they played in that last game. There was a beautiful combination of how Grizz and Pain were able to move around the map together, able to always be defensively there whenever their team needed it, and having their AD carry as well on Desire, being able to soak up so much pressure to allow them to move up this map, allow to get those Rift Heralds. And my god, Pain, you had what a game! From early game double kill to a solo bolo onto the mid laner. What else can this player do?
5-1 and 15 on the Braum. I think I'm going to have to join you with the support POG vote this time around, Zathos. Yeah, I completely agree. Clearly, Sacred Phoenix were really on form tonight. Very, very coordinated, moving around the map as a unit, very, very effectively. And they had a great, it seemed like they really had a great plan just coming into the set as well. Just of how they wanted to play the game. Zephon, 2 games in a row on this Lissandra, looked fantastic both times. And they just utilized this this team fighting comp very, very well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I'm just quickly asking logic behind the scenes. I'm happy to have one of the players come in if they'd like to for a little bit of a celebratory win, as this is going to be the first time they're going to be in first place of Division 2. So we'll see if Logic is able to sort that out for us. It's seeming like it may be possible. Just have to see what player they want to decide, because it's always fun for us to say, but I think the team should decide who is the most important player towards them, because you always have the one player on the team which is a little bit more extroverted, that has a little bit more issues on being on the team. As I love to see it. Support of Combat is my absolute favorite. My god, yeah, what a game we had. But I need to talk to everybody just a little bit. The next game you'll be seeing is going to actually be tomorrow. If Logic could quickly tell me the time that will be on tomorrow for the cast.
While we're getting that information for you guys, you do all, of course, also have the ability to chime in for your player of the game vote. Head over to that MVP votes channel in the Discord, in the cafe, to make your opinion known. We got lots of votes for Paint so far. We all seem to be in agreement that Braum was the biggest difference maker in this one, but if you're able to.
And it is looking like we are going to have Paint coming in, the infamous Solo Bolo on the support side. But the teams we will be having up next will be Risunami versus, this is a German name, I'm English, Team TAA. I'm going to practice it once. Ulfenstein der Adler, or something along those lines. That team is going to bully the hell out of me for the 10th time, I swear. I can't say that name.
Braver than I am,
we are going to actually be having Paint in here. So do you want to quickly drag him in? Let's have the champion in it. It's looking like it.
I usually go with just Team Adler is you know what I usually go for with those guys. What was Stein?
I don't. You're asking a British man to say a German word.
We're doing our best, guys. Yeah. Yes, no, I feel you there. But either way, will be an exciting match for sure. So definitely, I'm sure you guys won't want to miss that one either. As we do close in towards the regular season, you know, it's not only the teams at the top that need every win that they can get, it's everybody, you know. The rest of the squads, I'm sure, are going to be looking to avoid facing off against the Sacred Phoenix in the first round of playoffs, if at all possible.
Yeah, I will quickly go over the leaderboard so far for anybody that doesn't know how everybody's doing. So surely, because they did lose 2 games, they will be 7-3. So this does allow Sacred Phoenix to go 8-2, finally get themselves in first position. This does still leave Fasani in that second place position. In the third place position now, because Surely went down to second. Fasani is on 2 wins and 2 draws. They still have 1 more game to play before they are fully caught up. Team Mental Gab is in 4th place with 5 points, Samson Black with 4 points, and then the bottom team, which I would absolutely love to cast, is KVM Gaming versus Red Panda Warriors, who are both on 1 point each. So that'll be a very interesting way, because remember, 6 of these teams get through and 1 of them doesn't. So that is going to be the real decider of which one of these teams is going to get to playoffs. They will most likely be lower bracket, but at least you will be in playoffs. And if you get to playoffs, that is nothing to scoff at, because this has been such a difficult ride to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough to make a playoff bracket with an odd number of teams, unfortunately. So, yeah, not able to get everybody in here. But, you know, it is most of the teams, obviously, as you were just saying, will have that opportunity. So it mostly does come down to seeding in terms of what your postseason actually is going to be looking like and how that is set up for you. So that's as we get towards the end of the regular season, obviously, as we already said, all of these games, very, very important.
Yeah, just all of these games matter more and more the later on you go. Because you may think, what's the difference between getting first and second? The main reason is you get to decide if you want to go against Team 4 or 5. Mostly because if you're going against Team 5, they are most likely the weaker team that is going to be coming through. So it makes it a lot easier for you to get through. And if you have a safer way through, you're able to keep a lot of your pocket picks close to your chest, meaning that when you finally do come against these big picks, you only have to win 2 games. You're able to go for some more of these unique strategies that you've never shown anyone before who's been using in draft.
Yeah, and we do have to kind of wonder if maybe surely we're trying to, you know, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier as well, but if surely we're trying to show something a little bit different tonight, wanting to branch out from the style that they usually play. and demonstrate that they do have more options available to them moving towards the postseason. But it definitely felt like they were trying to go back a little bit more towards their strengths in the second game, but maybe just lost a little bit too much momentum coming off of that first one.
Yeah, it's really hard to win when you're going against such amazing players. As we have one of the players here to show, we do have Paint coming in to join us in just a second. He was the support playing the Ultimate Braum in the last game, being such a crucial reason why I was going to get that. And we have also found out that he is going to be MVP for the game. Hello, Paint. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, feeling great. Ended up on top of the leaderboard. I played the game against the top players. I mean, I'm feeling great. What can I say?
I mean, going 2-0 against Surely, I understood they had a rocky start, but my god, they are a powerful team. We're quite a few fans who I'm definitely a little bit of a fan of them. But you were really able to shut down Phobos. Was there a reason you were focusing the top side so much, or did it just kind of happen to be the game plan from the start?
Well, our draft plan was kind of to focus top lane, like get him off of his power picks. And then we kind of decided to play around the rest of the map, not necessarily around top lane. We thought that just banning out his champions and like getting him down in draft will be enough to shut him down.
Yeah, I mean, clearly being able to take away the Jax was really, really huge. And Griffin played very, very well on that Jax in game one, actually ending up with the most damage in the game on the Grandmaster. So definitely that plan in itself seemed to work out very, very well. But obviously, you, Paint, were spending most of your time down towards that bottom side. It was the Karma Sivir lane in game number one. We noticed that it seemed to be your draft had a lot more scaling options than the side of Surely did in that first game. Was that something that was intentional as well in terms of your draft strategy, or were you just kind of trying to come up with something pretty balanced?
Well, we didn't go into the draft with a scaling plan, but as soon as we saw the Draven Lulu came out, we were like, the picks that we have now just outskilled our bot lane, and we can just draft into that and win the game late.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mostly think that you guys outplayed from the draft, especially because with both these team codes, when I take a look at them, especially in the second game, picking the Braum into the Blitzcrank was an absolute genius idea, especially as well when you have a Sejuani, a Lissandra, and a Xayah. Like, you just completely countered everything that Surely wanted to do. Was there any particular reason you picked it? Were you on the same lines, or were you just like, I enjoy playing Braum?
Well, we had like a few options. We had like Karma. Karma isn't good in the second game. And then we had Nautilus Rakan, which were both banned, so my options were like very small. I just picked Braum. It looked good.
What about
there.
Bard? Could have gone Bard, right?
I don't really play the Bard. I mean, I try it sometimes in scrims, it doesn't go too well.
I'm starting to hear that Pain is not the MVP of the game anymore because his player does not play Bard. All jokes aside, there is one question that I'm very curious about. So, I believe Lissandra was such a huge influential pick on this, especially when Zephon was able to find these amazing engagers. Was there a reason why you didn't want to pick the Xayah Khan on the second, as third pick, and you went for the Lissandra instead?
We didn't want to pick support on B3 anyway. Our strat was to pick mid lane, like from the start, because we wanted to give me some more counterplay into the bot lane. So we never planned on picking the Rakan there, and then we were like thinking about picking Rakan, but we were expecting the ban anyway. So I had like enough picks there to just wait out the second ban phase and pick whatever's open.
Damn, a support we'd love to see. Always plays for the team, even in draft pick. Something very important from that. But what do you think were the real differentials from yourselves today compared to before to get yourself the win over Surely?
I think I've been improving on my shot calling a lot lately. Just the way I used to be like very silent in call, just do what my team told me to do. And I have been trying to change that a bit because I feel like we're lacking comms in our team. And I feel like I really stepped that up today, so I'm proud of myself of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think it was... Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say actually as well, Zathos, is that that was very obvious just from watching you guys. We're definitely in agreement that the draft was in your favor, and then the play definitely also. You were clearly very coordinated in those team fights, so that I'm sure has a lot to do with the shot calling that you were just referring to. But I did also want to mention that the first game was a little bit longer than the second. Actually, I believe by about 10 minutes. The second game was actually much more one-sided in your favor. I'm curious to hear from you, Paint. Do you feel like there was any point in particular in that second game where you've... I'm gonna close it out from here.
We got the 4th Drake, which made us 3-1 on Drakes. We knew from that point on we were like stronger than them in team fights, so we knew that if we don't misplay the next Drake, we get Soul for free, and we can just end off of that.
Yeah,
so I think
for sure.
after the 4th Drake, like 20 minutes, between 25 minutes, somewhere there, we were like pretty sure we would win.
Yeah, you can't really blame anyone for going for the safe pick. Now, I want to talk about your next game coming on. It's against Fasani, the second team, well, now third team in the standings, having 2 wins and 2 draws. Maybe not as powerful as Sean Lee, but they are definitely an infamous foe. Do you have any special plans for them, or are you just going to go, keep doing what you're doing, keep practicing, and get yourself ready for this playoffs?
We are just going to keep doing what we're doing, honestly. It has been working. The game we lost, we tried something different, didn't work. So we're just gonna keep playing the same stuff. Besides that, I'm not gonna give away too much. I mean,
of course. Keep those pocket picks hidden. See if you can get them all the way through. Because the benefit is, because you're in first place now, even if you drop a few points to the next game to Fasani, because you don't want to show these special picks you have, you just have so much priority when you get yourselves later on in the draft that maybe you can show us a little bit more interest in that. But no, Paint, is there any final words you want to say before we head off? Anything you want to say to the team? Anything you want to say to the fans? Or just Cobalt wins in general?
I want to give a really big shout out to our jungler, Chris. He did an amazing job of drafting us 2 fantastic comps, I think.
I completely
and
agree.
I think that draft really helped us in the victories we had today.
Yeah, no, I really think the major difference from you guys compared to Shorley, because I feel like both teams are very evenly matched on skill levels. You understand what their strong players are, they understand what your strong players are, and the draft just seemed a lot simpler to execute. So massive props to Grizz, even though he did get MVP, I do believe, in the first game. He didn't get it, sadly, the second, but he definitely has been a big major part. Well, Paint, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Good luck in your solo queue games. Hopefully we'll see you climbing up those major ranks, getting yourself up to the higher elos, maybe Division 1 soon, maybe even up to Masters. You know what? LEC, I'll see you there soon, man.
We'll get that next year. You can wait for me.
All right.
Exactly. But Paint, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. I wish you good luck in your next game. Hopefully we can cast you. I'm not sure if it's ever going to work out, but we will be there for the playoffs when we get there. And I want to say thank you to everybody else who has been here for the Cobalt Wins League. This is going to be the end of today, but we do have an incredible game for you tomorrow from Division 1. Let me quickly find the names. It is Reef Tsunami versus TAA. I believe it should be around 7 or 8 o'clock. Do not question me on that. I could be incorrect, but it is around about that time, and you do not want to miss it. This is a fight to get into playoffs, because only the top 3 teams of Division B are going to get in, and they are 3rd and 4th, so it's going to be an absolute scrap to get that win, so you do not want to miss it. So that's going to be it for me and Crewman, Paint and Logic, and we will see you next time, which is tomorrow. Have a good one.